The morning the drone buzzed 6 feet above my kitchen window while my wife poured coffee, I knew Maple Grove Estates had declared war. But when Karen Voss, the pearl-wearing president of our HOA, smiled like a shark from her perfectly manicured side of the fence and announced my family's 5-acre corner lot was now community green space for their shiny new solar array, she had no idea she'd just stepped on a landmine buried by my great-grandfather in 1923. I didn't yell. I didn't call the cops. I just sipped my coffee and watched her little flying spy camera dip lower, filming my kid's swing set like it was evidence of some crime. Because I'd learned the hard way. In this beige utopia of identical 3-car garages and tasteful lawn ornaments, the loudest voice always wins until someone quieter decides it's time to play the long game. 3 weeks earlier, the surveyors had shown up at dawn wearing high-vis vests and carrying bright orange flags like they were planting victory stakes on Everest. My lot butts right up against the back of Maple Grove, the only piece of real land left in this sea of cookie-cutter McMansions. I'd been the problem neighbor ever since I refused their last community beautification demand to paint my barn the official sagebrush beige. They'd already started calling me that anti-progress holdout in the private Facebook group I wasn't invited to. I rolled up on my old John Deere, cut the engine, and kept my voice level. "Morning, gentlemen. Mind telling me why those flags are 20 feet inside my property line?" The lead guy flashed a clipboard smile. "Just prepping the site for the Maple Grove Solar Initiative, sir. Going green for the whole neighborhood. Should be up and running in a couple weeks." I stared at the little pink ribbons fluttering in my orchard like surrender flags. Going green on my green, huh? He didn't even blink. HOA board already voted. Bylaw 7C, subsection D. Adjacent unzoned land for essential community benefit. You'll barely notice. I smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Tell Karen I'll be by the office." The ride to the HOA clubhouse took 4 minutes. The place smelled like vanilla air freshener and quiet desperation. Karen Voss sat behind her fake wood desk like a queen on a throne made of complaints. Pearls, perfect blowout, smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Marcus Ellison, so nice of you to stop by," she purred, sliding a paper across the desk. "Just need your signature here to make everything official. It's such a wonderful opportunity for sustainability." I didn't touch the paper. "No." Her smile flickered. "I beg your pardon. Let me be crystal clear, Karen. No, you're not putting solar panels on my land. No, you didn't ask permission. And no, I will not be signing anything that pretends my family's orchard belongs to your beige empire." She tilted her head the exact way people do when they're about to mansplain the law to you. "Marcus, sometimes individual preferences have to yield to the greater good. The board has spoken. It's perfectly legal under our covenants." I laughed once, short and sharp. Funny, because I don't remember voting for a board that can steal land. I walked out before she could quote another subsection. The emails started that afternoon. Glossy mailers arrived showing photoshopped solar panels sparkling across my orchard like some dystopian Christmas village. The private HOA group exploded with posts. "Some people just hate progress. Selfish neighbor holding the whole community hostage." My wife came home from the grocery store in tears. Someone had called her at the checkout to ask if we were anti-environment. Then the trucks rolled in. Concrete posts. Spools of wire. One afternoon, I found junction boxes bolted to posts sunk 3 feet inside my line. That's when the drone appeared, buzzing over my barn every morning like a mechanical mosquito with a god complex. Karen posted the footage herself, documenting potential safety hazards near the future solar site for HOA records. I watched the video, watched her caption turn illegal surveillance into community service, and felt something cold settle in my chest. My lawyer, Eleanor Vance, 73, floral blouses, and the soul of a honey badger, sent the certified cease and desist the next day. Karen ignored it the way she ignored speed bumps. The work sped up. The drone got bolder. It dipped low enough to spook my old dog Max and hovered outside my teenage daughter's bedroom window one evening while she was changing. I didn't grab the shotgun right away. I started filming. Every flight path. Every low pass. Every timestamp. I even mounted a GoPro on the barn roof. Because I'd learned something important during the last HOA war when they tried to find me for unsightly tomato plants. Patience isn't weakness. It's a loaded spring. The morning Karen stood on her side of the fence, phone up, filming while the drone screamed toward my house at 20 feet. I finally stepped onto the porch. Federal airspace, she shrieked. You have no right. I gave her a little wave, went inside, came back with my old 12 gauge, shouldered it like I was shooting clays, and blew that buzzing piece of plastic straight into the side of my barn with a crunch that sounded like justice. Karen screamed like I'd murdered her firstborn. I ejected the shell, smiled, and went back inside for another cup of coffee. Her first call was to the FAA. Mine was to Eleanor. The FAA agent who called me back didn't sound angry. He sounded interested. Mr. Ellison, we've received a complaint, but we also have concerns about the drone's operation. Any footage of its flight paths? I sent him everything, including the clip of the drone 10 feet from my daughter's window. 2 days later, the agent called again. MS. Voss may be facing multiple violations, including operations over a minor on private property. Child privacy laws are no joke. I hung up feeling the first real smile in weeks. That same afternoon, I took a metal detector out to the old oak at the back corner where my great-grandfather had planted it in 1923. I'd always thought Grandpa's stories about checking the iron were just crazy old man talk about shotguns. Turns out the old bastard was literal. The detector screamed over a rusted iron plaque buried under roots. I dug it up, cleaned it with my sleeve, and read the words etched deep enough to survive a century. Any permanent or semi-permanent construction placed upon the eastern perimeter of the Ellison property without express written consent shall trigger automatic forfeiture said land and improvements to revert to the Ellison family in perpetuity. I laughed so hard the squirrels ran away. Karen and her board hadn't just trespassed. They'd marched straight into a legal bear trap set by a spiteful farmer who hated suits more than I do. Eleanor arrived wearing gardening gloves and carrying a legal pad. We spent 3 hours in the county archives unearthing the original 1923 covenant, filed, stamped, never challenged. She grinned like a shark. They're so screwed. The certified letter landed on Karen's desk the next morning. Instead of backing down, she doubled down. The HOA newsletter called me a rural bully weaponizing archaic nonsense against community wellness. Workers kept digging. A new, fancier drone replaced the one I'd turned into scrap. I documented every shovel of dirt. My daughter's GoPro caught workers stepping over my markers like they owned the place. The FAA called again. This time their tone was grim. Karen was looking at fines, license revocation, and possible criminal referral. Then the county assessor called me, voice shaking. Mr. Ellison, the HOA filed paperwork claiming your parcel was donated to them. They requested a zoning variance based on that. Karen hadn't just stolen my land with bulldozers. She tried to erase me on paper. That was the moment the game changed from defense to annihilation. The community center was packed for the monthly meeting. Karen stood at the front clutching her clipboard like body armor, launching into her speech about unfortunate resistance to progress. She held up Eleanor's cease and desist like it was evidence of my villainy. I stood up from the back row. Phones rose like periscopes. Eleanor gave me the tiniest nod. I walked to the front calm as Sunday morning. I'd like to respond. The room went dead silent. Karen's right about one thing, I said, voice carrying. There has been resistance. Because your board approved construction on land they do not own. They ignored surveyors, ignored legal warnings, and ignored basic decency. Murmurs rippled. I pulled the folded covenant copy from my pocket. This parcel where your solar array is currently being illegally built is subject to a 1923 covenant. Any unauthorized construction triggers automatic forfeiture. Everything you've built, the panels, the posts, the wiring, now legally belongs to my family. Gasps. Someone dropped their phone. Karen's face went the color of cheap Merlot. That document is ancient. It's under review. It's been verified by the county, I said quietly. But hey, simple trespass wasn't enough for you, was it? I turned to the crowd. Just this week, we discovered Karen filed falsified documents with the county claiming I donated my land. That's not a bylaw violation. That's fraud. The room exploded. You lied to us, a woman in the front row shouted. A board member, quiet Mr. Henderson, looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. Karen opened and closed her mouth, pearls trembling. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Someone had been recording. The clip hit the HOA Facebook group before we even left the parking lot. 3 days later, Mr. Henderson called me, voice dripping embarrassment. The board voted to remove Karen effective immediately. We'd like to discuss a resolution. I looked at the lawsuit draft Eleanor had already prepared, 7 figures, punitive damages, forfeiture of every panel. My lawyer will be in touch, I said, and hung up. The contractors came back, not to build, but to tear down. I watched from my porch every morning with coffee while they dismantled their own expensive mistake. One worker gave me a thumbs up as he loaded the last panel. Hope you keep the whole system after this circus. I smiled. That's the plan. The court hearing was brutal and beautiful. Eleanor presented Karen's own emails ordering workers to ignore my complaints. The judge paused the drone footage on the frame where it zoomed in on my daughter and asked Karen, voice like ice, why exactly her camera needed to be 10 feet from a minor's bedroom window. Karen crumbled. The judgment was swift: heavy fines, FAA penalties, permanent ban from filing zoning documents, and a court-ordered written apology in Times New Roman. The Eastern Strip and every piece of solar equipment became mine. I didn't need another barn, but I built one anyway, right on the reclaimed land. Cody helped paint a 10-foot mural on the east wall. Karen's drone exploding in cartoon flames with the words, property of the Ellison family, St. 1923. We reconfigured the salvaged panels. Now my great-grandfather's contested orchard powers the new barn, slashes my electric bill, and even sells a little juice back to the grid. Sometimes, I like to imagine, straight into the homes of the people who once called me the villain. The HOA is quietly dissolving. A few neighbors brought pies and apologies. Karen's pearls haven't been seen in public since. Eleanor stopped by yesterday. We sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the new barn gold. You could have just yelled louder at the beginning, she mused. I took a slow sip of sweet tea. Sure, Eleanor. But where's the fun in that? The wind whispered through the orchard like it was laughing with me. Every inch of this land was mine, earned not with noise, but with patience, proof, and the kind of deep-rooted family trap that doesn't take kindly to being erased. So tell me, was I wrong for defending what's mine with every legal and creative tool I had? Or was Karen the real criminal all along, hiding behind community rules while trying to steal a man's legacy? Drop your verdict in the comments. I'm reading every single one.